Assalamualaikum to my lecturer and all my friends. Today, I and my friend to present about the chapter 7 is Ergogenic aids for sport performance. Before that, I introduce to myself. My name is Hafiz bin Muin and
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Aiman Mustaqim Azri.
So, what is ergogenic aids? The ergogenic aids is a supplement or ingested substance that is prohibited by the letter or the spirit of the rules, but is used to garner an advantage in a sport experience. So, an ergogenic aids is defined as a physical, mechanical, nutritional, and psychological that either directly improves physiological variables associated with exercise performance or removes subjective restraint which may limit physiological capacity. Next, use of ergogenic. So, who use of ergogenic? Many sport governing organizations and many athletes classify the use of ergogenic as cheating because of the fraudulent or deceptive behavior. So, types of ergogenic aids, that is stimulant, depressant, anabolic steroid, human growth hormone, blood doping, and beta blockers. The first is stimulant. So, what is the stimulant? The stimulant is a substance that raises levels of physiological or nervous activity in the body. So the athlete can make a feel more alert, awake, confident, or energetic when doing sports. So that is example of stimulant. It is contain amphetamine and caffeine. Okay, next slide. The pros and cons of stimulant. For pros, we can see many pros of stimulant when the athlete take this ergogenic aids. So, the pros of stimulants are can increase alertness, increase metabolic rate, increase power and strength, elevated mood, reduce fatigue, heightened hostility and competitiveness, lessened fear, and lastly enhanced concentration, attention, arousal, motivation, and self-confidence. While for cause of stimulants are extreme weight loss, reduced sexual functioning, gastrointestinal problems, muscle deterioration, and chronic exhaustion. Okay, next slide. That is for example of sport which use of the ergogenic stimulant included taekwondo, cyclists, and wrestling. So the case study of stimulants in 1976, the International Olympic Committee (IOC) stripped with demand of his gold medal Olympic Games because he tested positive for a stimulant taken through his asthma inhaler. Because of this and related incidents, the IOC allows the use of certain drugs if approved in advance for specific medical conditions. So the ethical dilemma, though, is not the taking of a banned drug, but the intentional taking of stimulants to gain advantage after pledging to follow the rules. This makes the issues one of honor and responsibility rather than justice. Okay, next, depression. So what is depression? The depression is a drug that lowers neurotransmission levels, which is to depress or reduce arousal or stimulation in various areas of the brain. So the function of depression are treating anxiety, sleep disorders, panic, and acute stress reaction. Okay, next slide, the pros and cons of depression. So for pros, the depression can recover from the intense pressure to calm feelings and to dull one sense of problems. While for cause of depression are depression, chronic fatigue, breathing difficulty, sexual problems, and sleep problems. So for example of depressions are alcohol, sleeping pill, and cannabis. For example of sports with use of ergogenic depressants are rugby, ice hockey, and soccer. Okay, next, the ergogenic is anabolic steroid. Anabolic steroid is a synthetic steroid hormone which stimulates testosterone in promoting the growth of muscle. Are used medically especially to promote tissue growth. So the function of anabolic steroids are hormones help control metabolism, inflammation, immune function, salt and water balance, development of sexual characteristics, and the last, the ability to withstand illness and injury. So the pros and cons of anabolic steroid. For pros, the anabolic steroid can to gain in muscular strength and bulk, to boost performance, reduce the muscle damage, and helping the athlete recover from the session more quickly. While for cons of anabolic steroid are the kidney problems or failure, liver damage and tumors, enlarged heart, high blood pressure, and changes in blood cholesterol, and increased risk of blood clot. So that is for example of anabolic steroid, which is testosterone, aldosterone, and stanozolol. So for example of sports, that is track and field, bodybuilders, and swimmers. So the case study of anabolic steroid, the Canadian sprinter Johnson took gold and also set a new world record time of 9.79 seconds in rivalry in 1988 Olympic final in Seoul. So Johnson was disqualified when his urine samples were found to contain the banned substance stanozol. So he later admitted to using steroids when he broke the world record the year before. So both records were taken away and the gold medal was stripped. Besides that, in 2014, Datuk Lin Chow-wei was tested positive for dexamethasone during a doping test at the World Championships in Copenhagen, Denmark. So the meaning dexamethasone is not a performance enhancing drug but a type of steroid medication with anti-inflammatory effects that is usually used to aid an athlete's rehabilitation.
Okay, what is human growth hormone? Human growth hormone is a hormone that is produced by the pituitary gland and stimulate the growth of bone and muscle and other organs. Naturally occurring HGH affects body in a manner similar to testosterone. The function of human growth hormone is help to regulate body composition, muscle and bone growth, and sugar and fat metabolism. What is the pro of the human growth hormone? The pro is to improve muscle mass and performance, increase stamina, speed recovery from muscle, fatigue or injury, improve exercise and capacity. And the cons is nerve, muscle or joint pain, swelling due to fluid in the body's tissues, edema, carpal tunnel syndrome, numbness and tingling of the skin. Example of the human growth hormone. First is gonadotropin. Second is norepinephrine. Third is norepinephrine. Fourth is rugby. Fifth is bodybuilders, and the last is weightlifting. For the case study, the British Rugby League player Terry Newton has become the first athlete to be suspended for using human growth hormone. Terry Newton admits taking the substance in a statement released by his attorneys. As a result, Terry Newton was sacked by his club, Wakefield, after the United Kingdom Anti-Doping Authority announced a 2-year ban. So, we will go to the blood doping. Blood doping is involved with reinfusion of own red blood cell which carry oxygen just before a competition. Blood doping is an illicit method of improving athlete performance by artificially boosting abilities to bring more oxygen to the muscle. The function of the blood doping is increase the amount of hemoglobin in the bloodstream. What is the pros and cons for the blood doping? The pros is boosting the blood's ability to bring more oxygen to the muscle, increase the amount of hemoglobin in the bloodstream, can improve stamina and performance, particularly in long distance events such as running and cycling. The cons is heart disease, stroke, heart attack and blood clot. Example of blood doping. The example is injection of erythropoietin or EPO and injection with synthetic chemical, blood transfusion, long distance, cycling and running. The case study for the blood doping is the 7-time Tour de France winner is now facing charges from the US anti-doping agency that he used EPO. What is EPO? Injection of erythropoietin. Blood transfusion, testosterone and cortisone. During the period before 1998 through 2005 and that he had previously used EPO, testosterone and HGH, human growth hormone, through 1996. Armstrong has vehemently denied any wrongdoing, describing the USADA's action as a witch hunt and arguing that in 25 years as a professional athlete, he has passed more than 500 drug tests and never failed one. For the beta blocker, beta-adrenergic blocking agents are medication that reduce your blood pressure, resulting in relaxation of the non-vascular smooth muscle of the bronchioles and the intestinal tract. The function of beta blocker is reduce blood pressure, the effect of the hormone epinephrine as known as adrenaline. The pros and cons for beta blocker is the pros is relax blood vessel, help reduce blood pressure, slow heart rate, lower blood pressure, improve focus. And the cons is fatigue, cold hands, headache, digestive problems. Example of beta blocker is acebutolol, atenolol, bisoprolol, metoprolol, And the example of the sport is archery, shooting and dart. The case study for the beta blocking is Kim Jong-swon, silver in the 50-meter pistol event and bronze in the 10-meter air pistol. But Kim was found to have taken at the illegal beta blocker propranolol after an in-competition dope test which the International Olympic Community has been conducting for all medalists.
Okay, next slide. The dilemma of drug testing. So, the dilemma of drug testing have 4 types. That is, opposition of drug testing, thwarting of drug testing, justification for drug testing, and education against drug use in sports. So, first, the dilemma is the opposition of drug testing. So when we talk about the athletes, is the athlete argue that they be singled out for drug testing from among the general student body, whose members do not have to be tested for drug use. So others claim that taking an athlete's urine constitute a search and issue of invasion of the privacy. So, the athlete believe that the mandatory drug testing violate their moral values and do the procedure use humiliate them. So, this is the situation. In this dilemma, what you can relate it is when we look at it from an athlete's point of view, there will be 2 conditions. When they just does a drug test, the thing will affect them will be arrested if they is guilty of taking drugs. But if they does nothing, of course, will not feeling anything to doing drug testing. So that is the condition sum of dilemma. But then, when comes to organization that run the drug testing, when is they wants to do or does not want to do the drug test. So the case study related is mandatory drug testing of track and field cases. So this case study, the jumper and runner athlete Kisha won numerous races and long jump and had been called Little Jackie by media. But she was troubled by new drug testing program that Middlebrook High School had just started. Even she had never using anabolic steroids or amphetamines, but she know some of her friends used it and had been cut. So Kisha believed that mandatory drug testing was an invasion of privacy of her right as the jumper and runner athlete. Okay, next. Second, the dilemma of drug testing is thwarting drug testing. So the drug testing only be able to detect the specific and banned chemical component. Engineers athletes know how to cycle on and off banned substance without detected. So the athlete have started taking other ergogenic aids. They will taper off before competition and not test positive. So the thwarting drug testing can related case Lance Armstrong. So what happened to Lance Armstrong? He managed to win the world championship 7 times in a row without getting caught using blood doping. So next, the case study also related is Russian athlete cases of the Olympic Rio 2016. So this case study, the WADA say drug tests on Russian athletes were founded on a bombshell report. So the report say doping control officers had also faced intimidation and threats of expulsion from the country by government agents when attempting to carry out drug tests in military cities. So the report detailed how one track and field athlete had been caught trying to provide a urine sample using a container inserted into her body. So the athlete subsequently threw away the container and then attempted to bribe the doping control officer.
Justification for drug testing: knowledge, goodwill, and good intention of an organization authority. They know how the best for others and society. Some individuals justify drug testing based on the harm principle. Drug testing removes the burden from athletes of having to choose whether or not to use drugs. Another justification for drug testing is to equalize competition. Only by banning ergogenic aids will competition be fair for each athlete to compete each other on their own ability. Education against drug use in sport. People involved in sport should examine their belief and value through cognitive dissonance. Introducing moral education to discuss the good and bad of ergogenic aids. Education potentially can convince athletes about the reality of the health risks associated with drug use.
Okay, next slide. Taking organic aids that may cause health problems. So you can see the athlete facing the heart problems, sterility, and lastly death because that the athlete taking ergogenic aids such as amphetamine, anabolic steroid, and others. So next, why the athlete take the ergogenic aids? Because of course they want to gain advantage to win the sport tournament. Besides that, the athlete will be able to financial benefits, celebrity status, and encouragement by coaches or others.
The possible change in how drugs are viewed in sport is some ergogenic aids used illegally by athletes in United States but are illegal in Europe. Possibility drugs that are currently banned in sport may be permitted regardless of impact in performance.
So lastly, the case study we found is doping Russia former weightlifting world champion Katerina suspended. So you can see this case study. Russia 5 times world champion weightlifter and Olympic medalist Katerina has been temporarily suspended for an anti-doping rule violation. So the report say Katerina was suspended after the World Anti-Doping Agency WADA took results of doping tests of Russian athletes between 2012 to 2015 from the Moscow laboratory during an investigation. So she previously served a 2 years suspended from 2006 to 2008 for violating anti-doping rules, and her latest ban will prevent her from competing during the game's qualification period, which runs until April 2021.
Okay, for the conclusion is the use of ergogenic aids threaten equity or the concept of the fair and just. Athletes, coach and trainer need to examine their personal belief and value and determine what actions are fair, honest and beneficial. Sport leaders have the obligation to educate themselves and their athletes morally and not to abdicate this responsibility to governing body that may only mandate drug testing, not educate normally. So that's all from us group for the week 7 presentation. Thank you and please be safe at home. Always wear your mask when you walk outside. Please take care of your family. Bye bye.